Hey, what's going on? It is that time on Wednesday for Ask the Instructor. My name is John Christmas. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time to help you understand the technical side of the real estate industry. And what we're talking about today is the process to obtain your real estate license. So if you've ever thought about being a realtor, of trying to make some money in real estate, today we're going to talk about how to get a real estate license to make that all possible. We're going to cover the steps that you need to get a real estate license, some of the things that might prevent you from getting a real estate license. So if you're wondering, am I even eligible to get a real estate license? Short answer, you probably are, but we'll maybe cover a couple of things that would make you potentially ineligible. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the fingerprinting, the state exam, the course that's required, how you do that course, classroom, online, whatever the case may be, but basically everything you need to know to understand this process to obtain your Florida real estate license. So super excited to bring today's show to you. I'm John Christmo. You're watching Ask the Instructor.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. Not actually State of Real Estate, it's Ask the Instructor. That's Fridays. Got the long intro loaded up, but whatever, you guys don't care about the intro. But if you haven't seen State of Real Estate, definitely check out State of Real Estate on Fridays. We also do that at 12 noon. And that's where we talk about, once you've got a license, how you make money, open houses, listing presentations, working with buyers, all kinds of things like that. We cover that all on episodes of State of Real Estate. We've been doing both of these shows for years now, so there's tons of videos that you can find on YouTube, on Facebook, or whatever the case may be. And the reason why we do this is to help you build a successful real estate career. Too many times people get their real estate license and they don't have the right guidance, they don't have the right training, they don't have the right path laid out for them to yield a successful real estate career. And, as somebody who's helping you start your real estate career, we don't want to be a part of that at all. We want you to have a successful real estate career because I'll let you in on a little secret. The way we succeed is by helping you succeed. There's no greater reward for us than helping somebody achieve their dream real estate career. And so that's what we set out to do in the best way that we can. And I'm convinced that we've got a better program than any other school or whatever the case may be out there. But let me show you why. So let's start off with the application process. And we've got a full breakdown of this with links and all kinds of good info. I'm going to be referencing this link a lot. It's licensefl.com. So licensefl.com, that's the step-by-step licensing process to obtain your Florida real estate license. The steps that you need to take, that's all detailed at licensefl.com. So make sure you check that out after the stream. And what we're going to be doing today is just walking through these steps that you're going to find in here. So step one is there's a required course. And this required course, it's required by the Florida Real Estate Commission. You'll see them mentioned as the FREC. The FREC, that's the Florida Real Estate Commission. And they're ultimately who's responsible for the real estate industry in Florida, making sure that people aren't harming the public. And the way that they ensure that you're minimally competent, that you won't harm the public, there's a few things that they do. But one of the main things is requiring you to take this course, this 63-hour pre-licensing course that will teach you not how to make $1 million in real estate. We'll talk about, if you want to, when we're focusing about money, of how to actually practice real estate. Again, that's part of the reason why we do State of Real Estate. But your course to get your real estate license, it's going to be about the laws and rules that the Florida Real Estate Commission wants you to learn and understand to be able to practice real estate legally. And some of the stuff as you learn through the course, there'll be things occasionally that you may wonder, will I ever use this? And maybe once in a lifetime, maybe once in your career, and then there's other topics that you'll be using every single day, and it really kind of depends on what field specifically it is you're going into with real estate. Most of you guys will probably end up doing residential real estate with single-family homes, but there's a lot of other opportunities out there with commercial, industrial, businesses, agricultural property, and all of these require a real estate license to be able to broker those deals. So The Florida Real Estate Commission, they're ultimately responsible for everything. They require you to take this pre-licensing course to get your real estate license. And this course, it's a 63-hour course, but it isn't 63 actual hours. They use this whole kind of credit hour type of system, which rather than me wasting your time to try to explain how the Florida Real Estate Commission calculates an hour, it's not an actual 63 hours, basically, is the short answer for that. And we have this available where you could do it in one of our classrooms. I think we've got like 8 classrooms currently throughout the Tampa Bay area, or you could also do it online. In our online program, you can do from anywhere in the world that you have an internet connection. If you've got an internet connection, then you could do our online course. And it's going to walk you through that same content and make sure you know the information you need to know to be able to pass the Florida real estate exam. So that's your required course. Now, the second thing that you've got on here is an application. And this is your license application. So to get a Florida real estate license, you have to apply with the Florida Real Estate Commission, basically, through the DBPR, the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. You'll see that's going to be another acronym you're going to see a lot, DBPR. And they're a completely separate entity than the Florida Real Estate Commission, but they work together. Ultimately, the Florida Real Estate Commission, these are the people making the decisions. These are the people that are ultimately responsible for the real estate industry, whereas the DBPR is where all the administrative work done. It stands for Department of Business and Professional Regulation. So think of like a DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, but for professional licenses. And that's who you would do your application with. Now, for your application, currently, right now, I think it's about like $80. That fluctuates depending on the year. It usually goes up. It rarely goes down. But I think right now it's like $83 or something like that for the application. So you've got that application. But before you do the application, really, we should put this as number 3 here. You've got to get fingerprinted. So you got your fingerprinting, and you need to get fingerprinted for your license application. Now, the fingerprinting, you have to do that through an approved FBI channeler, because when you do your application with the DBPR to request a real estate license, because that's basically what you're doing with this application with the DBPR, you're requesting that they give you a real estate license. And there's a few requirements they have before they give you that real estate license, one of which is taking that required course, one of which is getting fingerprinted so they could background check you. Now, in case you're wondering, well, I've been fingerprinted before. I had to get this license and I was fingerprinted, or you're fingerprinted for whatever reason. If you were fingerprinted previously, it doesn't matter. You need to get fingerprinted again. There needs to be a new submission. There's some rule that says basically you can't reuse the same fingerprints. Some law that says you can't reuse the fingerprints across different agencies. I don't know why it makes sense. We're not going to try to make sense of it. Point being, you need a new set of fingerprints. So you need to get fingerprinted. And again, you want to make sure that this is an approved FBI channeler. There's a lot of places that you could get your fingerprints, like the police station and things like that, but they're not usually FBI channelers. And so then you have to take those cards and then go submit them through an FBI channeler, and it usually costs more that way. It makes it seem like you're saving money because you go to the police station, they might do it for free, they might only charge you $10 or $20, but those cards aren't just what you need. You then need to take those cards to an approved channeler who will probably charge you the same amount as if they just took the fingerprints anyway. So make sure they're approved FBI channeler, because not only do they submit you to the FBI, but also the FDLE, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, because they're going to background check you. Now, why are they background checking you? Well, they want to see what criminal history you have. They're not looking at credit. They're not looking at employment history. They're not looking at those other things. They're solely looking at your criminal history. And they're looking at your criminal history to determine if you are of good character. Now, if you've never committed a crime in your life, then you don't have to worry about getting fingerprinted in your background check. But even if you have committed a crime in your life before, you could still get a real estate license. We've actually got an article. If you check out this link, licensefl.com, in the section that talks about the fingerprinting, there is a link that goes to an article about obtaining a real estate license with a criminal background. So if you do have any sort of criminal background at any point during your lifetime, because that does have to be disclosed on your application. The only thing you don't have to disclose on your application is if you've had it expunged. If it's been expunged, then you don't need to put it on there. But if it hasn't been expunged, then you have to put it on there if it is some sort of criminal offense. That doesn't include traffic citations or parking tickets or anything like that. Only criminal offenses you have to put on there. If you have anything in your background, we've got an attorney that we work with that provides a free consultation to any Tampa School of Real Estate students or also potential students. If you check out licensefl.com and go to that article about obtaining a real estate license with a criminal background, you'll find his contact information. Give him a call. He'll give you a free consultation. Because if you do have a criminal background and you want to make sure you could get the license before you take the class, you can do these steps first. You have to do the fingerprints and the application. You won't find out whether or not you're approved to get a real estate license unless you've done both your fingerprints and your application. And if you're concerned about getting a real estate license, you could do this process before you take the course. Now, why we typically recommend that you take the course first is we cover this in the course. We cover the application process. If you're taking one of our in-class courses, we actually bring in a mobile fingerprinting company, so that way you can get your fingerprints done right there on site as well. So that's why we recommend taking the course first. Unless you're concerned about your criminal background or you don't think you're going to be able to get a real estate license, that's the only time I would say to do the fingerprints and the application first. But if you don't have any criminal background or you know it's not going to affect you, then definitely take the course first, because you'll be doing this with everybody right there along in that course. Now, once you get your approval from the DBPR and the Florida Real Estate Commission, then you're eligible to take the exam. So that's what happens next. So after you're approved, you become eligible for the exam. So you become eligible for the exam after you're approved for your real estate license. Once they grant your request for a real estate license and you become eligible for the exam, that's when you're going to be able to schedule your exam. So then you'll be able to schedule your exam at that point, and when you're approved, you're going to be sent, usually via email, a FLREAPP, which, if you're curious, stands for Florida Real Estate Application ID number. Tampa School of Real Estate, we do not issue your Florida Real Estate Application ID number. You don't have to take the course to get a Florida Real Estate Application ID number. So you're going to use this Florida Real Estate Application ID number that you received after your license was approved to then file the application, or not file the application, to schedule your state exam. So you're going to need this number from your approval from the DBPR. You don't need to take the course to get the approval from the DBPR. If you want to, if you're concerned about your background, you can do this process first and then take the course, but you need to get this approval, and this approval is good for 2 years. So once the DBPR approves your application is good for 2 years. So it lasts 2 years, and you've got 2 years to pass that state exam. Now, in order for you to take the exam, you could schedule the exam with still not even having taken this course. But now when you go to take that exam, when you pass the course with us, we issue a completion certificate. We give you a completion certificate that's signed by us that says that you successfully completed the required pre-licensing course. And then when you go, on the day you go to take your exam, you're going to take that certificate that you've got from us and you're going to bring it to the testing center. Because if you do not bring that certificate, they will not let you take your state exam. So that certificate that you get from us, whether you're taking it in the class or online, if you take it in class, you should get that on the last day of class. If you're taking it online, if it's during business hours that you pass it, we're going to get that to you right there that same day. And we're usually here 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. typically. So if you're within those hours, that 12-hour window of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., you should get your certificate within probably 30 minutes. Now, if it's after business hours, first thing the next morning, we'll send you out that certificate just in case you're trying to coordinate you passing the exam with you taking your state exam. So that certificate you receive from us, and if you've taken a course with us before and you can't find your certificate, just call us up and we'll be able to get you a certificate at no charge. I've seen schools before charge their students for a certificate. I mean, we already have the paper on file. We're just emailing it to you. Yeah, it takes work on our part, but that's what we're here. We're here to set you up for success. And you don't have a certificate, there's no chance you're going to pass your exam because you're not going to be able to take that exam. So if you do need your certificate from us, just call us up, send us an email, send us a text message easy. We're easy to communicate with. Any way you want to communicate with us, you want to stop into our office here in New Tampa, we'll get you the certificate. We'll print one, we'll mail one to you, we'll email it to you if you want it right away, whatever you need, we're here to help you out with that. So that certificate, you need that on the day you go to take your exam. Now, if you've already taken your exam before, you still need to bring that certificate. So if you've already taken your exam but you didn't pass, you still need to bring that certificate even though you've already presented it to Pearson VUE every time you need to go take that exam. Now, you might be wondering, well, wait a minute, don't I want to just take the exam one time? And yes, you do want to take the exam just one time. That's the goal ultimately. That's our goal, to get you to pass your exams on the first try. But you've got to be intentional if you want to pass your exam on the first try. Now, what do I mean when I say you want to be intentional? That you want to actively put yourself in a situation where you know, you're confident that you're going to go in there and take that exam and be able to pass. Now, passing the exam. This exam, so class course, it's a 70%. State exam, it's a 75%. They're both 100 questions, multiple choice. So 70% for the class exam, 75% for the state exam. They're both 100 questions, A, B, C, D, multiple choice. This one you could miss 30 questions. This one you could miss 25 questions. Now don't let that go to your head, because let me share a little story with you. When I got my real estate license, I let this go to my head. So to give you some background on me, I was always that kid in going through school and college where I didn't do any homework. I hated homework. I refused to do homework. I almost didn't graduate high school because I just refused to do homework. It was that bad, but I would go in there, and that was my saving grace. I'd go in there and I'd ace exams. I don't know if it was just, I like to consider myself a high degree of intelligence, but I look back on when I was doing this, I was like, man, I wasn't very smart then, so who knows? Maybe test strategy, maybe the exams were just easy, who knows? But that's the thought process I relied on, that, okay, I'm smart, I'm a good test taker, I don't need to do the work, I could just, test out of it. And that's the philosophy that I used when I got my real estate license, that I took the course and I breezed through it, didn't really spend any time studying. And then everybody along the way, the whole time, people were telling me, hey, this is a tough exam, this is a difficult exam. You need to study for this. The pass rate is only 50%, and that's the statewide pass rate in Florida. So in Florida, if you're taking your real estate exam, the statistics, and they send us the statistics from the DBPR, from the Division of Education and Testing, they send that to us every month, and consistently, month after month, and they monitor this, and this is a standardized exam, so this is what they shoot for, is a 50% pass rate. So the state of Florida maintains a 50% pass rate for first-time test takers, and for repeat test takers, it's a 33% pass rate. Now, I always get excited when I get this report and I see it creeps up to like 51% or 52% from the 50%, or the repeat test takers are at like 34%. But then at the same time, I'll see months where it's even lower, where only 47 or 48% of the people taking the exam are passing it on the first try, and maybe even lower than that 33%. But typically month to month, and that's what they're shooting for, or at least that's what it seems like they're shooting for. It's a standardized testing, so I'm sure that's their targets. 50%. A 50% pass rate. Too many people start passing, they make the exam more difficult. They add in more difficult questions. So there's a whole standardized process that it goes through, and being that, our mission, what we're the crusaders against this, trying to give you the information that you need, to make sure you know this information that you need to help put you in a situation to pass. And that's why it puts a smile on my face when I see that pass rate for the state of Florida rising, because I'm like, okay, I know part of that is from us. I know part of that is from people doing our study tools, people taking our courses, that we're trying to buck that trend. But then I know the Bureau of Education and Testing, they're working against us. They're making that exam harder. So we're really making the future generation of real estate. So for 10 years from now, when you're taking your real estate exam and it's way harder than it ever was, and right now we're in 2020, I apologize, because we're probably making it more difficult for you 10 years from now. Which, if you've been on the fence about this whole real estate thing, no better time than now to get your real estate license, because again, that exam's only going to get more difficult as we continue to try to get more people to pass this exam. So that started getting in my head. Back to my story about when I got my real estate license, that started getting in my head that, okay, half the people don't pass. I was like, okay, fine. Let me do a practice exam. And this was before I even took my end of course exam. So all my exams for my sales associate license, my broker license, my instructor license, I'm fortunate enough to say that I've passed it on my first try. Now, it's not really fortunate. It's I put in the work. I was intentional about it. Because what happened when I got my sales associate license, and this is a big turning point for me academically going forward, is I realized I took a 100-question practice exam. Everybody kept telling me how difficult this is. I think I was on like question 33, somewhere around there, and I just gave up. I said, okay, you've proved your point. I don't even know what I'm looking at. I could keep going through the rest of these 70 questions here, but I don't even know if I even got any of these 30 questions right, so I might have already failed. So it was that moment of testing my knowledge before the exam tested me, because the exam is ultimately going to test you to see if you know what you need to know. But don't wait until the exam. Do some practice questions first so you can find out if you really are prepared for this exam. That's what practice questions are for. They're there not to study. You don't want to study practice questions. The number one study tip I have for you that it's top 10. We'll put it on a list of top 10. I don't know if it's number one, but if you're studying practice questions, this should be number one. Don't do that. Don't study the questions because you're not going to see the same exact questions on your exams. Maybe similar, but the questions are so specific. They're application-based questions. They give you a specific scenario that you've got to figure this out. So the point being that when you're using practice questions, do that. Use them. Don't study them. Use them to find out what you do need to study. And this is all part of our pass first try strategy. So here at the Tampa School of Real Estate, our goal is to get you to pass your exams on the first try. And the required course alone, that will teach you the information. That is the only thing that's required. All of these other study tools in our pass first try strategy, they are optional, but here's what they'll do for you if you invest in these pass first try strategy tools. Number one, it's going to make this more of an efficient process. Because if you're relying, and we do give you study materials already, so you've already got study materials included. I don't want you to think that, oh, if I want to be able to study, that I've got to pay extra money. That's not the case at all. Your textbook, if you're taking the in-class course, has tons of information. We give you digital supplements you can access online, PowerPoints, flashcards, things like that. Our online course has a bunch of study tools built in as well. But now, everything we include in our pre-licensing course has to be approved by the Florida Real Estate Commission. They have to certify everything in our courses before we can deliver the courses. Our school, our instructors, and our courses are all certified by the Florida Real Estate Commission. Our exam prep courses, the Florida Real Estate Commission does not certify exam prep courses. They do not approve exam prep courses. So we don't have to submit our exam prep materials to the Florida Real Estate Commission. We don't have to check off their check boxes that they want to make sure you learn the information. Our study tools are designed to give you the most efficient vehicle possible to be able to study for your exam. So we've got a few different things in there. We've got a course called Secrets of the Exam that's all about how the exam is structured and some test strategy. We've got an MP3 audio review that's a really great tool to reinforce those key points. It takes this 63 hours and condenses it down to just 5 hours. So that way, during this time, people will sometimes come to us and say, hey, I'm trying to study. I want to retake the class again. The last thing you want to do is retake this class again. The reason why is this is designed to teach you the information, not designed to review the information. And they're different. They're very different. As an educator, they're very different. From personal experience, they're very different. What you do to learn the information is different than what you do to reinforce, review, and memorize the information. And you want to focus on the key points. So we've taken this 63-hour course and condensed it down to 5 hours. So you're getting a super concentrated, a super condensed review of all the material covered in the course. Not all the material, because we condensed it down, we distilled it down. So not all the material, but the most important details, the most important key points of each section. And it's broken down by section, so you could listen to that whole 5 hours nonstop, or you could dive into any one particular unit that you need to work on. So that MP3 audio review, 5 hours. During that, we'll say 60 hours, because the last 3 hours of this course is your exam. So during the time you would take to go through the course again of 60 hours, you could go through that MP3 audio review 12 times. 5 hours, 12 times is 60 hours. And that's going to be much more effective because now we're going to hone in on what you need to remember. The course, there's certain things we have to teach you. And there's things that we teach you that probably aren't going to be on your exam, and some things for sure that we know aren't going to be in the exam, but they're part of the course and required by the Florida Real Estate Commission to teach that to you so you can get your certification that you took this course. Our exam prep materials, we're solely trying to get you the information that you need to set you up for success in passing the exam. So that MP3 audio review, it's a 5-hour condensed review of all of the key points. And it gives you also the percentages of each unit. There's some units that are only 1% of the exam, where other units are as much as 12% of the exam. There's 2 chapters on mortgages that are 13% of the exam. So this will help you prioritize your studying so you're spending your time on what's most likely to be on the exam. And all of our study tools are set up that way. Once you've mastered that MP3 audio review, then you move into the question simulator. Now you're doing those practice questions to see what you do and do not know, to test your knowledge. And we give you over 700 practice questions in our question simulator to test your knowledge. So you've got plenty of ammo, because the last thing you want to do is do the same question twice. Because it's like seeing how a magic trick works. Once you know the answer, then it's no longer serving that same purpose to test you, unless maybe some time is gone. If some time has gone by and you don't remember the question, then you could do it again. But if you remember that question, you're just memorizing answers, that's not setting you up for success to pass your exam. So what you want to do here is use these questions to see if you do or do not know, if you can or cannot apply the key point from the course in the MP3 in the context of a specific application-based scenario question. And these, if we talk about scenarios, there's infinite ways they could design questions for the exam that touches on the same topic but goes into a very specific scenario. So, for example, there's something in our course called concurrent ownership, where there's multiple people owning property simultaneously. And one of the ways to own property with other owners is called a joint tenancy. And with a joint tenancy, there's something known as right of survivorship. And right of survivorship means that when one owner dies, the property goes to the other owners. So that's a joint tenancy with right of survivorship, means one owner dies, property goes to the other owners. That's the key point that you need to memorize from the course, what you'll be taught, what will be reinforced in the audio review. But now when you get this on a question, it's not just what type of ownership is when somebody dies and it goes to the other owners. There's a chance you might see a question like that on your exam, because only 90% of it is application-based. So you've got a 10% chance that you might get a just simple recall question. But more than likely, the question is going to look something like this maybe. Jill, Joe, and Jane own a property together. Jill, Joe, and Jane own a property together. Jane died and the property reverted to Jill and Joe. What type of ownership does Joe have? So notice how much more specific that is compared to that key point. And that's what the questions are designed to do, to take that key point. It's in there. You've just got to sift through it and uncover it and unbury it and find out, okay, what specifically is this going on in this situation here? And now when you get one of these questions wrong, this is my favorite part about the question simulator. If you were to sit down with me as an instructor and go over questions, and we just sat down one-on-one going over questions, when you get something wrong, I would explain to you why it's wrong. I would touch on that key point. Or if you got something right, I would reiterate the key point that you want to remember from that question. Now, our question simulator, it does that. Our instructors, the majority of them written by me, but these are written by our team of instructors here at the Tampa School of Real Estate. These are all of our study tools are designed by us. We don't resell any study tools. We used to resell study tools. We built our own to make them better. So you're not going to find our study tools at any other school. So with this question simulator, right away, automatically, it's going to give you an explanation that tells you why that answer is the way it is, the key point that you need to remember. And here's what you want to do when you get these wrong, or you had to guess on one. You go back and look at the questions that you missed, but you're not looking at the questions or the answers. You want to focus on that explanation. And that's why, again, you don't want to study practice questions. You want to use practice questions, so that way you can make sure that you're set up for success. That you find out, okay, I missed 20 questions in Chapter 2. I better go back and study Chapter 2. But again, you're not studying the questions. You're studying those explanations, because that's going to be what you need to remember for whatever possible way they ask about that topic. So that's what the question simulator does. And the last step in our pass first try strategy, and there's a link to this at thatlicensefl.com, or you could also check out passfirsttry.com to view this whole strategy in full. But the last step in the strategy is to be confident and prepared. And that's what our weekend prep class is designed to do. Our weekend prep class is designed to make you confident and prepared, to make you feel ready to take this exam, to go out there and conquer it. But here's the problem with the weekend prep class. And for a lot of people, because the weekend prep class is intense, but for a lot of people, that's all they did to study. They went and took a weekend prep class, or went and took their exam the next day and they passed it, and therefore the weekend prep class is the end-all be-all, and that's the best way to get you prepared for the exam. And look, I teach the weekend prep class. I love the weekend prep class, and it can be very effective, especially in that scenario where you go take the weekend and you go take your exam the next day or like the second day after. But here's the problem with that. If you go and sit through this weekend, and it had been, because once you pass this course, you've got 2 years to go take your state exam. Your application's good for 2 years, and your course completion, the certificate from us, is also good for 2 years. So there's been a lot of times where people have came and taken this weekend prep class with us, and it had been a year and maybe 18 months, and they're maybe coming up on the end of that 2 years of their eligibility expiring to be able to take the exam. And what happens, especially if you haven't been studying during that time since you took the course to now 18, 20 months later, trying to review this information, it's going to be too much, too fast. A lot of stuff is going to go over your head, so I don't recommend the weekend prep class unless you've already been doing some studying. Now, we've got a solution to this. We came up with a solution about a year ago, and it was actually another solution because our weekend prep classes, yes, they do work. They work very well, and they've got a great reputation. What was happening is we were selling out these weekend prep classes month after month after month after month. So we came up with a solution to fix this, not only for us, not being able to fit any more people in our room, but on top of that, to help you be able to study in the best way possible. We're going to talk about that after this short break.
The most powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida real estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the Question Simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam.
Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor, where we're talking about the licensing process. Specifically right now, we're covering studying for this exam. And so before we get back into that weekend prep, because I was telling you about that problem we were having with not only not having enough room for people in the classroom, but on top of that, of sitting there and just taking this information in nonstop for 2 days, and then a week later, you forget all of that. Because think of what happens when, you know the saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't use it, you lose it. We all know the saying, and it couldn't be more true, especially for information that you don't remember. If any realtors out there are willing, if any realtors are watching, anybody with a real estate license is watching right now, and you want to volunteer, we'll keep everything anonymous, but if you want to volunteer to take an exam and see how you score, to see if you still remember that stuff from your pre-licensing course, we'd love to give you a little practice exam and see how you do. So call us up if you've got a real estate license and you want to try that out, because I'd love to see some actual statistics, because I have a theory that most realtors, I don't know what number it would be, I don't know what the official statistic is, that's why I want to test this here, but most realtors wouldn't even be able to pass this exam, even though they've done it before. If you don't use it, you lose it. You forget this information, especially when we cram that in one weekend. Now, if you've got your exam scheduled for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, really any time a week within that weekend, that's where I would recommend your weekend prep class. But if it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks out, you're not ready to cram everything in yet. But now we've got a better solution for you. We've got a better solution that really takes this weekend prep class and really makes it a lot better. And this isn't in my opinion. This is fact. It's fact because we've created something where you could go through this weekend prep class as many times as you need to. That you could go through this weekend prep class at your own pace. That when you need to take a break, the class stops. You need to get up to go to the bathroom, you could go to the bathroom and you're not going to miss anything. You get a phone call that comes in, there's some emergency going on, and you've got to leave the class. That's all right. You could come back and resume the class at any time. Now, you're probably wondering, well, how do you run a class like this? How do you have a class where somebody needs to go to the bathroom and you stop the whole class? Or somebody needs has a family emergency and they've got to go out of the country and we resume the class a week later. How do you do that? We did that with a recording. Now, I know you might be skeptical at first to say, oh no, well, the recording, that's not me being there. I'm not there in person, but trust me, this will work better than the actual in-person class. Now, there's a time and place for that in-person class, especially if you're taking your exam Monday or Tuesday. There's something about being in that room with all the other people. Now, there are some downsides that you can't just you can get up to go to the bathroom, but you're going to miss part of the class. So with our weekend prep recording, you could pause, you could rewind, you could fast forward, you could go through as many times as you need to. So I highly recommend that weekend prep recording over the actual weekend prep class because that gives you access for 6 months where you can go through that as much as you need to. Because maybe you don't need, when an class is not shaped by any one individual, it's shaped by the collective class as a whole. Whereas the online, it's based around you individually as a person. And we've got really advanced systems that are designed to again, give you what you need when you need it. Any time of day, any night, whatever the case may be. What I want to touch on here is we've got a question from Ed Peterson over on Facebook who's asking that he's studying for a state exam. What's the best tip you can offer? So this, I know I said one that was the number one earlier, and that's, I've got like 10 things that are like the number one things that you need to know. And all of the tips that I have about studying for your exam, we've packaged that all together into the secrets of the real estate exam. It's all about test strategy. But one of the most important things I would share with you is if you don't remember it from the course, it's not your answer. That's part of the reason why the state exam pass rate is so low. It's only a 50-50 shot, and if you're a repeat test taker, if you've already taken it before, the odds say you're only going to have a 33% chance of passing. What I would recommend is if you don't remember it from the course, it's not your answer. Not even recommend that. I'm telling you that. I'm telling you, don't pick something you don't remember from the course, because if it really wasn't in the course, it's not your answer. And they do this intentionally. They're trying to weed out the people who actually know the course material versus the people that don't know the course material, that are just trying to fake it till they make it. That's why when I was getting my license and I took that practice exam, I got 30 questions in and I didn't know because I was trying to fake it till I made it. I was like, man, I guess I got to do the work. I guess I actually do have to study this stuff. And I hit the books hard because that's all I needed. I just needed to test my knowledge to realize I was not ready for this exam. I was nowhere near ready for this exam. I was going to fail miserably unless I did something to get myself prepared. And that's when I buckled down and started studying. But that's a really great tip there. If it's not in the course, it's not your answer. You can't rely on your common sense. And the more intelligent you are, the more difficult this exam is going to be. If you have real estate experience already, it's going to be more difficult for you. If you have a license in another state, it's going to be more difficult for you. And the reason why is you're going to overthink a lot of these questions in here. Now, if you don't have any real estate experience, you're probably not going to overthink it. Maybe you still do, but you're much more likely to overthink this if you have a license in another state, you have any sort of experience, even if you've just bought a house before. That information will conflict with the theoretical laws and rules that you're covering in this pre-licensing course. So that's another tip I'd give you, to keep it simple, keep it back to what relates in the course, because yes, these questions are designed to seem complex, again, going through the detailed scenario that they might give you, but once you make sense of what they're really asking, oh, that's all it was. I remember that from the MP3 that we covered that key point. And that's the way it should seem. And the more you study, the greater you're increasing your odds that you're going to pass this exam. You might be able to not study at all and pass the exam. That is a possibility. It's probably not going to happen. And if you're in that case where you're not studying at all and you're trying to pass the exam, I would say don't even read the question and just hopefully rely on the probability that A, B, C, D multiple choices that you're going to magically, miraculously select at least 75 of them correct. Because if you don't study, you're probably not going to pass this exam. I don't want to say that you can't do it because it is possible, but you got to study. And you don't necessarily need to buy our study tools. They're optional. You don't need them. The only thing that's required is the pre-licensing course. But the study tools, the strategy alone. So whether or not you're interested in any of our study tools, make sure you look at, if you're studying for your exam ed, check out passfirsttry.com, because this strategy is what we built the strategy. It's not like, okay, we took the study tools and figured out how we could come up with a system to sell more study tools. We designed this to put you in the right state of mind of what you need to do to be able to pass. Number one, learn the information. You do that in the course. Number two, focus and review key points. Don't review everything you learn, but review the key points. Number three, the questions, practice questions, testing your knowledge. And then number four, being confident and prepared, because they'll have those common sense answers in there that'll make you want to second guess yourself. And if you're not confident in this material, if you go into this test saying you're not going to pass, you're probably not going to pass. And so that weekend prep recording, that weekend prep class, if you want to do it in person, that sets you up to put you in the situation where you're ready for success, where you're ready to pass this exam, that you're confident that you will be able to do that, and you're going to be much more likely to pass when you go in there with that positive attitude. And so again, a lot of tips you can kind of pull out of these things here. We've condensed that all into our secrets of the exam, which is also part of our pass first try strategy, and we've got those different study tools built out to help you. Because to review key points, you don't need our MP3 to do that. But the MP3 makes it a lot easier, where you can just pop in your headphone, or you can literally take out your little AirPod or whatever little Bluetooth headphones you got, stick it in your ear, log in online. Anywhere you've got an internet connection, you could listen to those key points. You need to have this in. How often do you walk around and you see somebody with an AirPod or some sort of earphone in their ear? You could be listening to the MP3. Now, are you actively listening? Probably not, but the information is going to start to get in there. Probably not one time, but that's the beauty of this MP3, since it's only 5 hours start to finish, and you could dive into any one chapter that you really need to focus on and listen to that as many times as you need to. I think the longest of any one chapter in there is like 45 minutes, maybe an hour, but they're all relatively short because they just focus on those key points that you want to memorize. So that it makes it a lot easier, because it helps you kind of put your studying on autopilot, where if you've got a busy schedule, you can put this in your ear and just drill those key points in your head again and again and again and again and again and again until you start hearing my voice in your sleep. That's a good thing. If you're like, oh God, I just can't listen to John anymore, that's where you want to be. Now, you might love me, and you listen to me enough, though, you'll probably be like, okay, I've had enough of John. And that's where you want to put yourself. You want to be in that situation where you've heard my voice so much, because it's my voice on the MP3 audio review, the current version that we use, and you want to listen to that so many times where you get sick of my voice, because that's when, especially when you could hear my voice in your head. How great would it be if when you went to go take this exam, you had my voice in your head telling you the answers? And now that's not necessarily what our MP3 audio review is. It's not going to tell you the answers, because we don't know what the answers for your specific 100 questions out of the thousands of questions they pull from that they gave you. So we can't give you that, and we don't even know what those specific questions are. Nobody does. The only way you find out what questions are in their special secret hidden bank of questions that the state exam has is by taking the exam. So I've seen about 300 actual state exam questions. I've heard a lot of students talk to me about their state exam questions that they saw, and if you've taken the exam and there's something that you're not sure about, that you weren't, well, what is this, what is that, and you also remember what that question was, call us up. We'll help you out. 813-333-2676. 813-333-2676. If you have questions about any of this, we're here to help you. We want to help you achieve a successful real estate career. Even if you didn't take your pre-licensing course from you, we'll adopt you. If you feel like your school has treated you like an orphan, come to Tampa School of Real Estate. We'll adopt you. We'll take you in. We're a big, happy family here. We want to help you succeed. If you feel like you weren't set up for success, come to us. We want to help you succeed. We're here to do that. If there's been anything with Tampa School of Real Estate that you haven't been 100% happy with, come to us. Call us up, 813-333-2676. Let us make it right for you, because we want to help you build a successful real estate career. Not only because we want you to come back for post-licensing, but look, even the post-licensing, I think it's currently like $200 to take post-licensing. So it's not the end of the world if you don't take post-licensing with us, but we want you to, because we know our course is going to help set you up for success, and that helps us validate that we're helping build successful real estate agents. When we see you come back to us for post-licensing, or better yet, that you're taking your post-licensing right after you get your real estate license, that's really the biggest compliment you can provide us. Once you get your license, you take your post-licensing renewal course right away. Because if you're taking your post-licensing renewal course right away, that means you're listening to us. That means you're doing what we say. That means that you're taking our advice to set you up for success. Now, you might be wondering, what is post-licensing? It's the course required after you get your real estate license to renew your real estate license. It's a requirement. And a lot of people look at post-licensing as it's a requirement that I need to get finished, but not until my renewal deadline. Which, when you get your license, your renewal deadline isn't going to be until like 18 to 24 months from when you got your real estate license. So you basically have almost 2 years to take this post-licensing course. And what do a lot of people do? What do most people do? They'll go get their license, say, ooh, that was tough, cool. I'm glad I got my license. I could go make my millions now. And maybe they find success. But they're operating with limited information. Because a lot of people, myself included, when I got my license, this was me. So when I say a lot of people, you could replace it with me. Because this is what I did when I got my license. I was overwhelmed with the licensing process. I realized I didn't know the stuff. It was going to be hard. I studied, and then I was able to pass on the first try. But then I was like, whew, all right. Done with that, let's go make some money. I've got the license. And part of it, too, is I was arrogant and hard-headed. There's a lot of things I wouldn't recommend the way I started real estate for you to start real estate. And that's part of the reason why I love getting up here to help people start their real estate career, because I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made. And one of those mistakes was not taking post-licensing right away. And I'm not doing this just to try to sell you post-licensing. Post-licensing, yes, it is a requirement you need for a renewal, but post-licensing is not pre-licensing. Post-licensing is not the same as this course that you took to get your real estate license. The purpose of your pre-licensing course to get your real estate license is to teach you the laws and rules that you need to know to pass the exam and prove to the Florida Real Estate Commission that you are minimally competent. That's all you are. And that's not my word, that's not my phrase, that's not how I classify you, because I'm sure you're not just minimally competent, but that's what the Florida Real Estate Commission says about you when you pass your exam. They say, okay, you passed your exam, all right, you're minimally competent. So, okay, we'll give you a license or you practice real estate, but we need you to register with a broker so they can keep an eye on you to make sure that everything it is that you're doing is 100% legal, is 100% okay, and that you're not going to hurt everybody. So that's the purpose of this licensing process. That's the purpose of them having you register with a broker. And what a lot of people do is they get their license, and then all these brokers are going to be contacting you, trying to recruit you to their office, because once you have a license, or even before you have the license, when you just do your application, that's public records with the state of Florida, and they request those public records, and they contact all the people that are applying for a license because they want to get their foot in the door early, and they want to introduce you to whatever their brokerage firm is and why it's so great and why you should join them. And it's overwhelming. When the best way I could sum up starting a career in real estate is feeling like you're being pulled in a million different directions, because everyone wants you. And they want you because they want to make money off of you. Whether that's your broker, whether that's somebody trying to sell you advertising, whether that's whoever that's contacting you, usually they don't want to buy a house from you or sell a house. Usually the people, especially when you first get started. Now, as you start to build your business, obviously this is going to be outweighed by actual clients and real people. But when you're brand new and nobody even knows you have a real estate license yet, it's not nobody. It's all the brokers and all the people that are pulling your records that are going to try to sell stuff to you. And that's how brokers make money. Brokers make money off of you making money. That you sell stuff, and when you sell stuff, the broker makes money. Or they don't make money off of you selling stuff, and they just have some sort of flat rate fee when you join them. And all the brokers are going to be telling you that they're the best and they're better than this one or that one, where that might not always be true. And if I could stand up here and say, hey, this is the brokerage that you need to join, this is the brokerage that is the best brokerage out there for you, if I had that brokerage to tell you, I would share that information with you. But it doesn't exist because there's no one-size-fits-all brokerage for every single person. Everybody has different personality types. Everybody has different skills. Everybody has different specializations once they have their license. And so what you want to do is really start to get to know yourself and what it is that you want to do with your real estate career, and it's going to become more obvious which brokerage is going to be the right vehicle for you to succeed in. Now, how do you start finding out those things? Post-licensing. You take post-licensing right away. Yes, there will be some laws and rules, but it's not pre-licensing. The best way for me to really contrast these two courses is in pre-licensing, to get your license, you're going to learn about laws and rules. Like in a contract, you're going to learn what makes a contract legal. what you need to have in a contract for it to be a legal contract. Really simple, basic things. There's an acronym we use called COLIC for competent parties, offer and acceptance, legal purpose, in writing and signed, and consideration. You learn those things about a contract in pre-licensing, whereas post-licensing, you actually learn how to use that contract, how to present it to a client, how to understand that contract, it's the point being, it's much more about building your business. Post-licensing, yes, it is required for a renewal, but the laws and rules part of it is kept to a minimum, at least with our course. Because the post-licensing course, there's no set defined syllabus by the Florida Real Estate Commission of exactly what we need to teach. Whereas with the pre-licensing course, they give us an outline and says you have to teach these things, otherwise it's not going to count towards the credit. Whereas post-licensing, they give us a little freedom. You've already proved you're minimally competent by passing the state exam, and so now when you take post-licensing, they say, okay, you teach them what you think is going to be helpful. And so our course is really focused around business building. There are certain requirements we have to meet still to make it an improved course, but we have much more control over the content that we could deliver to you. And what that means is depending where you take post-licensing is going to change the information that you take away from the post-licensing. It's going to change the information that you're learning in post-licensing. So we set out to have the best post-licensing course for building your business. You're going to find business planning in there. Just creating a basic business plan about how much money it is that you want to make and converting that into what actions you need to take. Coming up with the actual number for, okay, I want to make this much money. That means I need to sell this much houses. I need to get this much commissions. With my brokerage split, it comes out to this, and that means I need to talk to this many people who will result in this many clients, who will result in this many appointments, who will result in this many contracts, who will result in this many closings. And you're basically laying out this whole plan. Now, you might wonder, well, how do I know how many houses I'm going to sell? You're not. You're basically setting a goal. You're setting a goal. You're laying out what the finish line looks like for you in this business plan. And then you're figuring out which brokerage then is going to best help you get to that finish line. Which one is going to best set you up for success? And again, it's going to be different based on your strengths, your weaknesses, what trainings you need, what skills you have, what technologies that you need, what type of real estate you're specializing in, where you want to be selling real estate, the type of clients it is that you're dealing with. There's different real estate brands with different environments. They're all different. And as you start to interview these brokers, you'll start to notice these differences here. And once you're more in touch with yourself and what you're trying to do with your real estate license, and you know how to actually make money in real estate, because imagine you're sitting there with a client and they say, okay, we want to buy this house. What do we need to do? And you say, well, we need a contract. And that contract needs to have competent parties, offer and acceptance, legal purpose. It needs to be in writing and signed, and it needs to have consideration. So that's what we need. How we do it, I don't know. I'll ask my broker. How does that make you look to your clients? It doesn't make you look good. And you'll start to get an idea of these things because we do cover some stuff that is applicable to the real world, but the primary focus here is the laws and rules, whereas post-licensing, the focus is building your business. So now you understand more of the essentials and fundamentals of these contracts and why you're using them and what needs to go in there and things like that. So this post-licensing course is really powerful. It's required for your first renewal, so don't wait for it. Don't wait to take that post-licensing course. If you look at statistics, you'll see an alarming statistic that might scare you away from getting a real estate license. That out of every 10 people that get a real estate license, within 2 years, there's only one of them left. That's the official statistic, and I know that can be alarming. They're basically saying that, okay, out of 10 people, only one of you is still going to be in the real estate industry 2 years later. Part of that is the post-licensing. Because if you look at businesses in general, they have that same statistic of 9 out of 10 businesses fail, but within 5 years. Real estate, it just happens quicker because you then got to take that post-licensing education if you haven't done it already. And chances are, if you didn't take your post-licensing education, you're more likely to be in that situation where you're wondering if you should still stick it out in real estate. Post-licensing is designed to set you up for success. Will it teach you everything? No. Will it teach you how to make $1 million? Maybe. Maybe there's something in there that unlocks that $1 million for you, but it's a start. It's a start to start taking information. You're still going to want to join a broker that's got great trainings. You're still going to want to watch these videos that we put out so you could constantly be learning and expanding and growing your business. And if you do that, you'll end up as that one person that survives after 2 years. So don't get hung up on the 9 people that are dropping out of the business. Focus on that one person. How do you get to be that one person out of the 10 that survives? What do you do to be different, to be better, to go above and beyond? And it all starts with understanding what it is that you're doing, how you serve your clients, and how to do that in the most efficient, effective way possible. And that's what post-licensing is designed to teach you. So get in that post-licensing course right away, so that way you're learning what to do with your real estate license, what broker you should join, and all these more real-world questions. You'll have a better understanding of real estate once you've taken that post-licensing course. You could wait until 2 years out to when your renewal deadline's coming up and just squeeze it in right before the renewal. That's what I did, but I kicked myself when I did it because I realized, oh wow, I wish I knew this 2 years ago. Oh wow, look at this, there's actually good information in here. And now, I don't expect you every single page, every single minute of that post-licensing course to be, wow, this is fantastic, wow, this is great. But you don't need it to be nonstop, just euphoria. You need one thing to take away that's going to recover your cost. If you take away one thing, if you invested $200 in post-licensing, and you get one thing that helps you close one sale on a $300,000 property with a 3% commission that you're earning, that's $9,000. Is that $200 investment worth it? I would say it is. So be on the lookout. That's when I read books, when I listen to podcasts, when I take in information, because I'm constantly trying to grow and develop myself every single day. And I'm not expecting every book I read or every podcast I listen to or every video that I watch or every training that I do, I don't expect it to be nonstop, like, oh my God, just blown away with information. There's a lot of stuff that I've heard before that is just reinforcing for me. And occasionally there's that one little nugget, that one little tidbit where I'm like, ooh, that's the one. That's what I need to take away from this. And then you get that one little piece of information that results in so much more. You know, if you think of buying like a book, books are like, $20, $30 sometimes, maybe $15 if it's like a paperback, maybe $10 if you're getting it on sale. But a lot of people look at a $20 or $30 book, or maybe a $40 textbook, or maybe even a $100 textbook, and they're saying, oh wow, that's a lot of money. I wonder if I could get it cheaper. But what if I told you that book is worth $1 million? Would you pay $20 for a book that's worth $1 million? And you say, well, of course, if it's worth $1 million, that's a steal for me to get it for $20. Well, there's probably $1 million idea hiding in there. There's probably $1 million idea that can make you $1 million in that book somewhere. Maybe it only makes you $500,000. Maybe it only makes you $100,000. Maybe it only makes you $20. Even if it only made you $20, did you recover your costs at least? Yeah, and you're probably more knowledgeable. So it's overall, even if you do just cover your costs, but because we can make so much money in real estate, you sell one house, you're gonna, like 1,000,000 times return on investment from that investment of the post-licensing. So get that out of the way as soon as possible. I'll get off my soapbox on that. But going back to when I brought this up, that's the biggest compliment you could pay us. Because I know you don't want to take post-licensing right away. Unless I've convinced you that it is valuable, then you probably do. If I've convinced you that to take post-licensing right away and you've done it, again, that's the greatest compliment we could receive, because we know that's not what you want to do. We know your initial intention, say, oh no, that's a renewal requirement, let me do that later. But that's a compliment because you're saying that I'm taking your advice. I'm going to do what I said, what you're saying to do, and you doing that is going to set you up for success. Is it going to be the thing that makes you successful? No, there's a lot of moving parts and factors in there, but it's going to help get you there. It's going to help push you closer to that. And that's what this whole licensing process is. No matter how many obstacles you hit, no matter how many hurdles you have to jump over, everything you do is going to be inching you closer toward whatever dream goal it is that you have. Your dream real estate career, everything you do inches you towards it. Sometimes just by a little, sometimes by miles at a time. That's what, again, going back to like our study tools, our post-licensing, everything we try to do, we're trying to take time out of the equation to make you more successful, faster, to speed up this process that you achieve success. That's what we're on a mission to do. Are we perfect at it? No. Is it guaranteed? No. But we're pushing that rock up the hill. We're helping you carry that boulder up the hill. And we're here to help set you up for success, because your success is our greatest reward. Call us up at 813-333-2676. Let us help you achieve your dream real estate career, whether you're wanting to get your real estate license, maybe you need some study tools, maybe you want to go take post-licensing. We're here to help you. We want to help you succeed. Yes, the things it is that we offer cost money, but that's because it cost us money. You think all of this is free? No, we spent way more money than we probably should have building out this little studio in here. But we did this in the first place because we wanted to reach more people. We want to be able to help more people, because if we help enough people get what they want, we can have whatever it is that we want. And that's something you need to remember every single day with your business, with your real estate business. You help enough people get what they want, and it's very obvious because we get paid for helping people get what they want. We get a commission for helping people get the house it is they desire. So all we've got to do is help enough people get what they want, and we can have whatever it is that we want. So unlock that potential for you. Get your real estate license. We're here to make it easy. We're here to simplify the process. We're here to set you up for success. We don't want to see you failing. That's not good for our reputation. That's not good for our business. Call us up. Our advisors are standing by to answer any questions you have, assist you in any way they can. 813-333-2676. 813-333-2676. That's all the time we've got for today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and be great. Are you studying for your Florida real estate exam? If you are, you need to check out our Pass First Try strategy. You're going to love this. It's 4 steps that we break down the process to study for your Florida real estate exam. So you're set up to pass your Florida real estate exam, because that's what you're studying for, right? To pass your exam. It's 4 steps. Number 1, you learn the information. You've got to learn this to be able to pass the exam, but it doesn't stop at learning. Step 2, you've got to reinforce the basic, simple, key concepts. As you learn this information, keep reviewing the simple things. You don't need to know everything, but you got to review these basic key concepts. Step 3, you've got to test your knowledge. The exam's going to test your knowledge, so if you don't test your knowledge in advance, you won't find out if you know what you think you know until you take the exam. And then step 4 is be confident and prepared, because even if you know this material, you need to be confident that you know the material. Check out the full strategy at passfirsttry.com. That's passfirsttry.com.